Hello again. All right, we're back and we're talking about tools. We're continuing the discussion of tools. The next one in the line is this one right up here. You right click on it and you'll see that you have either a quick selection tool or the magic wand tool. The quick selection tool kind of grew out of the magic wand. It's the one that I think we're going to find the most useful as landscape photographers. So we'll go ahead and again, see this dot? This is the one that's selected, so it is the one selected. We'll just click on it. And the way this works, it's really, really cool. I'm going to start. Basically, the idea here is I want to select the sky. I might want to do something to the sky. How do I make a selection of just the sky? Well, with this particular tool, it's very easy. So you click, and you just start to drag. And it does some pretty cool calculations to decide, okay, we think, the program thinks that you want to stop at the mountaintop. It's looking for areas of contrast. And that's the largest area of contrast, so it assumes you're trying to fill in that whole area. Now, if you take a look across the top, there are some options here. Let's talk about these options because these are kind of similar. They'll mirror, in a way, the options that were available in both the marquee tool and the lasso tool. So let's go back and talk about these options. Here, we've just made a selection. We can add to it. If we hover over it, it'll tell us what's going on. We can add to the selection here. We can start a new selection. So if we click on this, start a new selection, we could then maybe come down into some other area of the image. Not that this is going to be easy to do here, but we could select another area. Since I don't want to have this area selected, I'm going to hold the control key down and press Z to undo that. Or if for some reason we were working this selection, let's just go back and click add. So we can click the add button right now. And let's just by accident pick up some of the mountain. If we overdid it a little bit, we can click the subtract from the selection choice and then just push right back into that area, and it'll look for that border. And let's let go and let it digest that. We're not quite there, so I'm going to zoom in on the scroll wheel, zoom into that area, and I'll finish that off. And it goes right back out to the way that it originally was. A lot of computer power being used here. It's a little bit slow to react. And we can get as finicky as we want here. Okay. Oh, missed that spot. We can control the size of our brush here, the hardness of the edge, spacing. All of these things can be very useful depending upon the size of an area you want to select. So again, if you're having difficulty making this edge, maybe you go to a smaller brush. It'll be more fine detailed. If you're, we're at a pretty small brush right now. If you're not getting enough at one time, you're getting a lot of leftover spots that aren't filling in, you can just increase the diameter. Depending upon what you're doing, you may want to sample all layers. I'm not exactly sure what the auto enhance does. I don't usually have it toggled on. Now, this is really cool, and this refined edge is available anytime you're making a selection. And again, in the lasso tool, in the marquee tool, notice we had the refine edge marquee tool. Lasso tool, we had the refine edge. We're making a selection again now, and you have the ability to refine the edge. Right now I'm holding this space bar down, and I'm going to pull the image down here so we can take a look. Click on refine edge, and we have this additional dialog box that pops up. Down here, you can click on these various boxes and it'll change the way you're viewing it on your screen. So you can work with whatever view best helps you decide what you're doing. Alright, so right now, let's just go with this one, let's say. If you want to affect this edge right here, you can come along and make some movements. I'm going to make some dramatic ones here. So you can make movements along here to affect the look of this edge. take that back down. Make it a little more realistic. And let's say I get confused with where I started off. Just like many of our little sub-programs that pop up here, we can click the default. It'll reset everything back to default. Let's come over here and mess with the smoothness. Let's run it way over. Just have to take a minute to wait for these settings to kick in. Smooth that out a little bit. Let's talk about feathering. Let's take the feathering way up. Wait a moment for that to kick in. Wow, now it's really feathering over a broad area. Let's reset these back to default. And then we can contract and expand. Let's run it over to expand. Notice it, the area between here and here expanded a little bit. Or we can contract. Really cool stuff. So this is how another very, very useful way. Let's go ahead and clear out of here. This is another very, very useful way, and you will be using this as a landscape photographer from time to time to select an area or a region. And you will find it very useful to come in here and refine the edge for whatever the particular circumstances dictate. As we've seen before, to remove the selection, we can right-click in it and choose deselect, or we can come up here and click on select and deselect. I'm going to choose my zoom tool. I'm going to right-click on the image and have it fit on screen again. I could have come up here and clicked fill screen or fit on screen. All right then, so how, as a landscape photographer, are we going to find this quick selection tool useful? Let's just show you. So let's make our selection by clicking and dragging through the sky. So it's made the selection. The next thing we can do now is actually come down here, and let's say we think the sky, we would like to have maybe a little more blue color, maybe darken a little bit, maybe more contrast, whatever it is we want. We can click one of our adjustment layer options down here and select one. Let's see, what would we want to do? Maybe, oh gosh, let's add a little more saturation to the sky. So let's click on hue and saturation. Notice we have a hue and saturation adjustment layer. And because we made this the selection of the area we want to create an effect in, we can now simply, let's run our saturation way up so you can see it. We're applying a saturation just to that area. Real handy, as you might imagine now. So let's put a realistic number in, perhaps 15. Let's toggle that on and off. And our sky's getting a little bit more saturated. Very nice. Notice now, we'll talk about this later on, but our layer, our adjustment layer, now has a mask in it that has partially filled with black. This is a little foreshadowing for what we're going to get into in the intermediate lessons. All right, so that's how you make a selection with the quick selection tool, and why and how you might use that selection. See you next time.